Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Chamberlain, and I am here to go over my capstone project with all of you. Thank you so much for being such a great participants to work with during this course, and I hope that you get something from my presentation. So, how do you support struggling readers in grades 3 through 8? This was the focus of my capstone project. I built and designed a professional development workshop to help teachers and paraprofessionals and parents become more effective in literacy intervention services for their struggling readers in grades 3 through 8. So the research questions that I came across were, are students in grades 3 through 8 getting the reading intervention services they need to be successful in all content areas? Do teachers feel prepared with knowledge, resources, and materials to meet the needs of their struggling readers in grades 3 through 8? And what does the research say? And how can research support reading intervention services in those grades as well? So, are struggling readers in grades 3 through 8 receiving the reading intervention services necessary to be successful in all content areas? So, the focus for grades K through 2 and the difference between how they learn reading skills and how grades 3 through 8 read learn reading skills is very important to delineate and separate. So, in grades K through 2, they're mostly learning to read. So the primary focus of reading instruction at the primary level is to teach students how to read. They learn their phonemic awareness, their graphemes through their letters. They learn phonological awareness, how those sounds make words and how they sound together. They also learn new words like high frequency words, and they focus on what some people consider to be sight words. And they learn basic words like because, and, to, from, at, where, were, and so on. The National Reading Panel identified the 5 elements of explicit reading instruction necessary to build a strong reader as phonemic and phonological awareness, which is mostly K2, and vocabulary fluency and comprehension, which falls under grades 3 through 8 a lot more. Now the shift in grades 3 through 8 is reading to learn. So instead of learning how to read, now we're expected to learn how to learn from our reading. So suddenly, beginning in grade 3, students are expected to be reading more proficiently. They're expected to be able to read and learn from what they're reading, learning to read for information. And this shift in the structure of literacy instruction really can leave a lot of students behind their grade level peers. If they are not reading on grade level, this shift can make it difficult for them to catch up. And as a result, the National Reading Panel determined that readers that are below grade level by grade 4 will likely never catch up to their grade level peers. And for me, when I learned that statistic, it just did not seem like that was good enough. So there more needed to be done. So research-based intervention in grades K2 looks like the classroom teacher identifying that there's a need through testing and assessment, and then establishing groups based on student needs. Intervention then is implemented during guided reading time, which is mostly through the Fontes and Pinnell program. There is also usually a literacy specialist that's available for push-in or pull-out services based on student needs. So they come in, they work with kids, or they pull kids out to work with them. Intervention services are usually given by somebody who's very well trained in literacy intervention, and it's very concentrated on that. And the focus is moving kids up by independent reading levels as quickly as they can so that they can meet their grade level peers wherever they are. So reading intervention services for grades 3 through 8 looks a lot different. So at this point now, it's the gen ed teacher. Some schools still have literacy specialists, grades 3, 5, but the number of students that are coming in is high enough that there isn't enough support staff to offer services to everyone. So a lot of these services fall on the general education teachers and content area instructors, especially in middle school. So the skills that you're working on are not so much decoding skills, but more guided reading practices that are focused on comprehension and close reading skills and focus on defining words in the context of the text. Reading in grades 3 through 8 is focused on learning new content. Therefore, struggling readers really fall behind in multiple subject areas, and they tend to stay behind in that subject area. So the question was, are teachers and paraprofessionals feeling prepared? And they are not. According to the research, they are not prepared with time, resources, or materials to meet the needs of their struggling students within the context of their classrooms, and especially at middle school when most of their content area courses are only about 10 minutes long. So as a result of the research and of the information that I've found, struggling students are remaining behind their grade level peers, and it's really hard for them to catch up. So, main question that I answered in my capstone project: were our teachers prepared when they enter a classroom to meet the needs of their struggling students? And in grades 3 through 8, there was a wide amount of information that showed that they do not feel prepared. So, the solution I came up with is to offer teachers and paraprofessionals and parents the opportunity to attend a workshop where they can learn strategies and intervention support for struggling readers within the context of their current classroom practice. So, what does that mean? That means that there's going to be intervention services that are, or strategies that will be available to a math teacher or to a science teacher or to a social studies teacher, which is really exciting. So the workshop objectives are to assess students for reading intervention services, plan and implement lesson plans for students in need of intervention, monitor and assess students for growth, review, reflect, and revise methods, procedures, and strategies based on student need. So some of the activities that will be available during the workshop will be to watch a video and complete a self-assessment survey for the pre-assessment that will include questions about prior knowledge and previous experience of teachers working with struggling readers. They'll work together in table groups to discuss topic questions. They'll learn about connecting state standards and reading to any content area, and they'll collaborate to write lesson plans for struggling readers. The pre-assessment is very important. It's part of our evaluation process. So, during the morning session, workshop participants are going to arrive at the workshop. They'll be asked to participate in a discussion about their prior experiences working with struggling readers. They'll learn about reading assessments and learning standards that align with content-based instruction. And the participants will discuss the vignette of a fifth grader named Rachel, who will be the model student for the day. So everything that we do, every lesson plan we look at, we're going to be talking about Rachel. During the workshop, students will participate in several learning experiences that will act as a model for use in their own classrooms. We'll be doing a jigsaw activity, there'll be table group discussions, think, pair, share, and buddy reading experiences. So they'll be able to practice and model those practices for use in their classrooms as they go forward. In the afternoon, the participants are going to view a sample of a mini unit and lesson plan for Rachel and follow along as it's explained as an example for them to follow. Then they'll be using other vignettes that they'll be able to read and try to determine what reading intervention strategies might be necessary and how they align to instruction and standards. And of course, they'll have to come up with assessments and both formal and summative assessments in order to measure their students' growth in reading. And then there'll be whole group discussions that will commence where they'll talk about misconceptions and questions that will be addressed by the facilitator, which would be me. So in the afternoon sessions, participants are going to start formulating their own ideas for their own students, and resources and materials will be available for them to use in order to do that. And then reflection will continue after the workshop as participants will be sent home with an online survey to complete, or they'll be asked to do a survey there at the end of questionnaire at the end of the workshop, and then they'll have an online survey that they'll be asked to complete 3 months from now that will ask them to share how the workshop changed their instructional practices and help them to not only identify but to effectively work with students that are low-level readers in their classrooms. And it will ask them if they felt their instruction was more effective since attending. So here's a quick glimpse at some of the intervention strategies that might be helpful. So this might be helpful for any of you who might be in need. But students who exhibit poor fluency and word identification skills often do perform much better after they've had experiences with repeated reading and high frequency word strategies, word identification, word mapping activities, parent student intervention, using poetry and songs with repeated reading for fluency, echo and choral reading, and phonic and word coding decoding strategies. And then for poor comprehension strategies, questioning, read alouds, class discussions, modeling and echoing your thinking, vocabulary and word recognition, reading and rereading strategies using expository and narrative text across the curriculum, graphic organizers, templates, buddy peer-to-peer discussion, technology-based reading interventions, and there's more. All of these skills and strategies can be looked up by any teacher, and research is available at any time. So the evaluation. So after the workshop concludes, participants will be asked to complete a questionnaire, which will be compared to their self-assessment, which they completed at the beginning of the workshop. And some of the questions on the survey are going to include: prior to attending the workshop, how many professional development opportunities have you attended that focus on struggling readers in grades 3 through 8? What, if any, past experiences have you had working with struggling readers? What methods or strategies have you used in the past that you found to be ineffective in meeting your student needs? And what strategies have you found or used in the past that you found to be effective? And the online survey is going to really want to know what strategies they learned in the workshop and how they've tried them in their classroom, and whether or not they felt that those strategies were effective. And then reflecting on the strategies, what other strategies may be effective for that same student. So if that strategy that they tried wasn't effective, what other strategies might there be that they can try with that same student? Here's a list of my references. And then I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody for comments and discussions and support. It was a pleasure working with all of you, and I want to thank Dr. Reynolds for all of your guidance and all of your help. I wouldn't be at this point and where I am in this process without you, so thank you. I hope everybody is doing well with theirs, and I can't wait to see everybody else's presentations as well. Thank you.